the 4 essentials for an exceptional customer experience. Delighted to be joined today by some very experienced people in the field. Delighted to be joined by Anne-Marie Stagg. Hello, Anne.
Hello. Hi, Jonty.
Hi, and Anne-Marie is going to be taking us through the 4 essentials for customer experience. David Gefen. Hello, David.
Hiya.
Hi. David's going to be taking us through the Customer Experience Challenge. And Lynn Gillan. Hello, Lynn.
Hi.
Hi, who's going to be taking us through using speech analytics in the customer journey. We'll then do top tips from the audience and ever interactive questions and answers. I'm going to ask the first question of the audience. What single word describes your company's approach to customer experience? So if you'd like to chat that into either the question box or better still into the chat room. And it's going to be quite fascinating to see some of the answers coming through. Hannah says it's personal. Elle says it's remarkable. Guy says engagement. Neris says committed. Richard says love. Interesting approach there. Jennifer says enthusiastic. Hannah says empathetic. So we've actually got some very positive sentiments there coming through on the chat room. So that's on callcenterhelper.com/chat. What I'd like to now do is just put up a poll, and I want to find out what your biggest challenge you have with your contact center. Just like to vote on, is it operational efficiency? Is it compliance? Is it customer experience? Is it generating more sales? Or is it colleague or possibly employee engagement, depending on how you want to put that. So if you'd just like to vote on the poll now, software should be up for you there. Just wait for a couple of the answers to come through. There we are, and I'm just going to close the results here. And this is a little bit of a surprise for me here. 35%, the biggest one, is operational efficiency. Surprised me it's as high as that, and 26% is generating more sales, and customer experience comes down into a 3rd place. So Anne-Marie Stagg, sort of customer experience being in 3rd place there, I was a bit surprised how low that was.
I guess it is a surprise. However, I also think what people are probably calling out there are their challenges, which are linked to the objectives that they're being set by their organisation. And certainly, all the organisations that I've been in recently are looking at process improvement, which is obviously a direct link to operational efficiency, and how they can generate more revenue. And I guess again, that's still a sign of the economic climate at the moment. I really do think they're the things that people are being asked to focus on at the moment. I'm not sure. It'll be interesting to see whether that was the same list volunteered by what call centre managers think they ought to be focused on, or what they're being asked to focus on.
Yeah, I guess that probably is what people are being asked to focus on. And Scott says the challenge is ensuring customers are treated as individuals, not one cap fits all sizes. And he's saying, for example, I work in collections. So yes, sort of treating customers individually. So delighted to introduce to you Anne-Marie Stagg from the CCMA. I first saw Anne speak at an excellent presentation she did probably about 5 or 6 years ago, called Dancing with Customers. So I'd just like to pass the baton now across to Anne-Marie, who will take us through the 4 essentials for customer experience. So just get the slides up on your screen.
Okay, hopefully everybody can see those slides now. They should be up.
Yeah, if you just go full
Okay,
screen.
so as Jonty said, I run the... You there?
Yes, You're coming through loud and clear and the slides are on the screen.
Excellent. Okay, so as Jonty says, I run the CCMA, which is the Call Centre Management Association in the UK, and we're a membership organisation that has been established for nearly 20 years. The CCMA is run on an unpaid voluntary basis by an elected board of call centre leaders who give up their own time to put something back into the industry and help to support others in the industry. And our aim is to offer timely and impartial advice to our members, to keep call centre and contact centre leaders in touch with changes in the industry, to provide credible benchmarking information, and to help individuals maintain an awareness of the latest trends and developments. And my views today really are born out of feedback from our members across the UK and from hearing specifically about the challenges that they face. So we've seen some significant strides in technology enablers over recent years, and yet it would appear that customer service standards may have stood still and in some industries even declined. Partly this would appear to be due to the challenges of the economic climate over recent years. I think organisations have become more risk adverse, which has led to a lack of innovation. This has often meant a lack of investment in both enablers and in the frontline people expected to deliver that service. Of course, integrating channels is a key objective for customer service organisations, but I wonder if we've maybe lost the focus a little on getting one channel right, or are we at risk of just duplicating existing flaws across more channels? Customers are clearly taking charge and quite rightly forcing multi-channel solutions, but that means that inquiries that arrive in the call contact centre are increasingly more complex. And organisations do need to react to the reality that advisors are dealing with more complex inquiries, and therefore investment is required to ensure that those advisors are well trained, well supported, and importantly empowered to respond to those inquiries. One of the key challenges facing call centre managers does seem to be the area of quality management, and we've witnessed some amazing coaching environments being transformed into compliance machines overloaded with scripts and tick box monitoring, which do seem to do little to enhance the customer or the colleague experience. And this does tend to be specific by industry, so particularly the financial services industry will have experienced this. I do believe, though, that our industry is starting to rebel against that culture and recognise that analytics tools and the great insight they provide is helping organisations to better understand how they can improve the customer journey in a much more constructive way. So I think it's really difficult to identify just 4 areas of focus for call centre managers, because as we all know, call centre managers are juggling dozens of different aspects on a day-to-day basis, all critical elements of delivering great customer experiences. But I do think that there are some really exciting developments in technology that as an industry we need to embrace. So our other speakers today are going to talk through some of those developments and how they have implemented some of those tools. But if I was calling out my top 4 essentials for a great customer experience, then they would be about educating your people well and creating a supportive environment. They'd be about providing your people with the right tools to do the job. They'd be about empowering your people and letting them make the right decisions for customers. And they'd be about engaging your people. And if I can just expand a little on each of those. So on the first one, educating your people well, it's making sure that people are trained in the what, in the how, and importantly the why. Advisors should understand where they sit in the customer process. They need to be trained in both soft skills as well as technical, which surprisingly is not always the case. And they need to work in a supportive environment where they are coached to be the best that they can possibly be. With regard to providing people with tools to do the job, your frontline people need easy access to the right information at the right time. And I know that sounds obvious, but it's, you walk into any contact centre and there are always challenges in that area. You know, no advisor likes that phrase, which it's one of the first phrases they pick up when they come out of training, which is, I'll just pop you on hold. And really that means, ouch, the information's not at hand, or I'm not sure what to do here. And also, with some of the gaps in the enablers, we rely on advisors to fill gaps in the process. And it's just important to identify what those breakages are in the process and fix them. In terms of empowering your people, well, an engaged workforce, well trained with the right tools to do the job, just needs to be trusted to get on and do that job. Leave them alone and let them get on and do it. And remove the obstacles that stop the advisor from helping the customer, because that is as frustrating for the advisor as it is the customer. Now, a lot of organisations have moved their employee satisfaction measurement to track colleague engagement levels, recognising that this is often a more indicative measure of morale. And for me, colleague engagement is one of the most important influences on whether your people are delivering great customer experiences. And there's obviously been quite a lot of studies on this. I'm sure everybody will have done their own studies, but organisations with high engagement levels typically are where their people can see the bigger picture and they know the part that they play. They understand and can measure the value that they personally add to the organisation's success. They are advocates of the brand, empowered to make decisions, they are listened to, they received feedback, and importantly they are recognised and they feel valued. So in summary, from my perspective, technology is a critical enabler, and as an industry we do need to embrace that development. But I do believe that it is your people that identify key moments of truth for customers and deliver exceptional customer services. So if you want to improve your customer journey, reach out to your people, listen to them, and embrace their ideas.
Thank you very much for that. We're now going to go across to a poll that's going to test some of that, particularly to do with empowerment of employees. And I think on a recent article, Paul Cooper said it's not empowerment unless you trust your employees. So I want to find out, here's 5 phrases that test the amount of empowerment that an employee may have in your contact center. So if you'd just like to vote, can an employee, and you tick all that apply, spend time fixing a broken process? Can they offer, say, £50 in compensation? Can they spend 30 minutes on the phone with the customer without being penalised that it hits their average handling time? Can they buy a £20 gift for a customer? Or could they spend an hour in after-call work to solve a customer inquiry? So if you'd just like to vote for all that apply. Anne-Marie, which one do you think is most likely to top the poll there?
I hope they all come out high. I would expect, with all the focus at the moment, lots of the focus I see on improving processes, I would like to see the broken processes being high. I would expect to see that high.
Well, let's go off and have a look at the results. So top one there was actually 73% of the audience. That's a very encouraging sign. 73% of the audience can spend 30 minutes on the phone to a customer. 58% broken processes. 58% can spend time fixing a broken process. 47% can spend an hour in after-call work to solve a customer query. Very encouraging. When it comes down to do you trust people financially, only 29% can offer compensation and 8% can buy a £20 gift for a customer. So I don't know if anyone's got any examples of where you've used either, for instance, compensation, or where the people have spent long times fixing a broken process or sorting out with the customer. it'd be quite fascinating to see some of the some examples of what you're actually doing to empower your employees. But I think, Anne-Marie, that's a very encouraging set of signs there.
I'm really pleased with those results, actually. I mean, I guess in terms of the compensation and the gifts, the fact is that might just not be relevant to the different organisations. I'm really pleased about that 73% on a call. I've been into a couple of call centres in the last week where they've been measuring average handling time, and I'm kind of hoping the industry was moving away from that. So the fact that 73% are suggesting that they're certainly not measuring or targeting advisors on average handling time is fabulous. Really enthused by that.
Wonderful. So it's great to see that. Right, we're now going to have a look at the Customer Experience Challenge, and we have David Gefen from Nice Systems who's going to be giving us some perspectives on customer experience and some things that we can do to help to improve that. So David, if you'd like to line your slides up and take us through your presentation, would be great.
Yep, sure. Right on it right now. So hope you can all see it. So
Indeed, yes.
It's quite interesting. If we bring up together these two polls which we saw together, I saw the first poll, the main challenge was operational efficiency, which is usually going up to getting the call finished as quick as possible, you know, the stuff like average handling time, etc. And in the second poll, we saw how empowered your customers. We saw that the answer was it's okay to spend, well, 30 minutes on the call, you know, trying to solve the customer's problem or something like that. So contradiction between the two can be quite interesting. So we'll try and touch on that in a moment. So let's talk a bit about getting close to your customer in our world. So first one is customers in the driving seat. So what is exactly the situation with our customers today? So in the past, service providers were in a position of authority. Customers that needed information and help regarding services or products would turn to the service provider for guidance. Today, this power has shifted. Customers are actually now in the driver's seat, and we can all feel it as being the customers ourselves. And the power shift is the result of a few things. Number one is the access to information. Customers have many sources of information at their fingertips today, and this information builds knowledge, making customers often more up to date about the latest advances in the market. Now, we've also got a large choice of communication channels and mobility, which allows our customers to connect service providers from anywhere, anytime, and across any channel. And of course, we've got the influence of social media, because social media tools have given our customers the leverage over their service providers. With a simple tweet or a post, they can damage a service provider's reputation, or in the other way, also show how pleased they are with them and let everyone else know about it. If you guys are not too sure about it, I just advise you to go inside and look at, just Google United Brakes guitars. So how do we actually provide this exceptional customer experience? What do organizations need to do in order to provide this personal customer experience and win over their customers? So this is the way we see it. There are essentially four elements. Number one is we need to make our customers feel unique. We need to focus on each individual customer journey. And there is no denying that each customer has the need to feel special. Customers will take notice of enhancements in products and services and will greatly appreciate the more personalized experience that they are receiving because it strikes them as individuals. It speaks to them as individuals. The next one is empowering your people. This is kind of where the second poll came, which we saw right now. With changing times and technologies, customers are becoming better educated about products and services that interest them through their own self-discovery and research. As customers become increasingly accustomed to serving themselves, they also have much higher demand for sales associates and agents. Customer-facing employees must feel empowered to take on this challenge. And the best way to look at it is just think about it this way. 10 years ago, when you wanted to know what your bank account balance was, you used to call in and ask the teller or ask the agent. And today, you only call them in if there's something which you couldn't solve via the web or couldn't solve any other way. Your last resort is the phone. Number 3, which is staying restless. Each customer has his or her individual journey, and this journey generates varying experiences. There is a lot to be gained from closing the loop by analyzing interactions and resulting customer feedback for operational and customer service users. So you need to the whole time look at how it actually can improve and make sure where you can invest more and more. Seizing the moment, which is our last one, which brings the real time into it. That is leveraging real time and acting in real time. There are various technologies today which allow customers, which allow agents to act in real time and address their customer needs. If we are able to do that, we allow our agents to impact the customer experience as the call is actually happening. This is what we try and call the decisive moment. Let's talk a bit about more what this decisive moment is. This is essentially a standard customer journey. Okay, so you can see the slide, you can see you made a purchase, and maybe went to set up. This can be like a purchased a new mobile phone, set up, then you got its first bill, payment problem. And you see the way it's going up or down is essentially on where his experience is. And it's only when you get closer that you can actually impact the experience. First by shaping the journey, understanding and sometimes predicting what customers want, what they'll do next, and then promoting them to the best channel to use, proactively engaging with them or simply being ready with the right service and information. And this is essentially why it's so important to impact these decisive moments, because these decisive moments, which you can see here, are the moments where we kind of call it the tipping point, where a customer can decide where either he's satisfied or not satisfied, where he decides to move or not move. It can change his entire perception of a company. Knowing where to find these decisive moments in the customer's journey is exactly how and where we impact it. So let's take these 4 and let's now start looking at how it actually can impact the customer experience, and we can look at it through the quality monitoring process. Okay? So let's talk about the quality monitoring process. And this will be a good time to bring a poll, a quick question for you. Okay, so here's a question. What does your quality process look like today? Basic, that means that you either run it manual process.
Basic, sophisticated, random scoring of contacts, or Excel-based. So if you just like to vote for all that apply, some of these are sort of not mutually exclusive, so you can vote on different ones on there. So if you just like to vote on what your quality process looks like, and got the results coming in here. Just going to close that off now and share the results. And David, looks like the overwhelming majority are still using random scoring of contacts, and we've probably got more basic quality systems out there than sophisticated. So it looks like there's a sort of a range of different ones there. It'd be quite interesting to see which ones are the more sophisticated ones there. And so if you've got a sophisticated system, if you'd just like to put your comments into the chat room, that would be great. David, do you want to put your slides up?
Yep, I'm on.
Okay, we're not seeing the slides. It's just
see them now.
I've just got. No, I'm just going to pass back to me, and I'll pass back to you. Sometimes the software gets a little locked.
Okay, should be okay now.
Indeed.
Okay, so this is how the quality process works in most organizations today. And this is regardless of where they have, a call recording system, and they have the quality process inside, so you can evaluate and process. There's several vendors out there which offer this capability. Or even if they don't, they have it via, they do it via Excel sheets, as we saw before, or any other way. Today, most of a quality process is still done randomly. So select a few calls, evaluate them, and they're used mainly for agent compensation. Right, so if an agent does, say 100 calls, so let's make it more realistic. They evaluate approximately a standard contact center evaluates anywhere between 2 to 7 calls per agent per month, and they do it for simple compensation. That's right. Simply pick up a bunch of calls, listen to them. Yeah, if it's okay, if it's okay, okay, you did okay. Most of the calls there, you get your monthly bonus. But understanding if there are any problems with the agent-specific training, if there are any issues, I don't know which customers are not satisfied with, operational efficiency issues, customer experience issues, but it's not possible. Now let's see why. So if we've got here a whole list of the various calls we have, and the different color can resemble a different call type. Let's say I want to focus on the long calls, and let's say the long calls are marked in the light blue. Now, I will pick a bunch of calls because there's nowhere I can. Okay, this call isn't right, this call isn't right, this call isn't right. I finally get one call here which makes sense, is a low customer experience. But because I've only actually listened to one call, I may be getting the wrong impression here. I can't get the exact root cause of what is happening and why it's happening, and my impact on the business is pretty low. This also has the thing which we talked about before about empowering your contact center staff. They simply feel that their quality management process is, how they say, another day, another evaluation. Nothing has actually changed here. Nothing actually matters. They have no way of understanding what is really going on with the contact center. They have no way of understanding which agents really need the training here. And they have no idea of understanding where the customer experience is most being affected. Now, with the power of interaction analytics, an interaction analytic essentially offers the capability to analyze all of your calls, every single one of them, and find out what is being said in them. So in the most simplistic way, you can search all your calls, and when people say analytics, the first thing they say is, oh, you mean you can Google your calls? And that is correct to a certain sense, but that's not where the real power is. The real power is actually saying, okay, from all the calls, please give me all the calls where the customer is saying, this is the second time I'm calling. This is the third time I'm calling. Why do I need to call so many times? How long can it take you? Give me please all those kinds of calls. Find those calls. Bring those calls in front of the evaluator. Those are the ones he wants to listen to. Okay? 1 minute. Bear with me here, guys. Excuse me. I can't believe it, but I'm actually missing here a slide, the most important slide. So let me see how we can actually do this.
While we're doing that, perhaps we can pull up a poll. So we're going to jump to the next poll on continuous improvement. While we get the details up on the slides, and which is: does your company have a continuous improvement culture? So I'd just like to vote on: does your company have a continuous improvement culture? The answers are yes, it's in the planning stage, no, we don't have one, or what is a continuous improvement culture? So if you'd just like to vote on those now, and the results coming through thick and fast. So just share the results, and yeah, looks like pretty good news overall. 65% of our audience already have a continuous improvement culture, and 22% are planned. So would be interesting to see what sorts of things you're doing to make it a continuous improvement culture. If you'd like to leave your results in the chat room, and I will pass the baton now back to David, and hopefully you found the key slide you were looking for.
Yes, I did. I have. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so you can all see the screen. Sorry. So let's how to go exactly with interaction analytics. Essentially, with interaction analytics, we search for each one of the calls according to the criteria which we just mentioned. Okay, So Analytics will find all the calls of low customer satisfaction. It will select them. Those will be the ones which our evaluator will listen to. And this is where he'll be able to find the root cause and impact the business. Now let's see what actually happens here, because what happens here is actually amazing. It's not only finding the right calls and listening to them. What we're doing here is the following. One, if there's a trend, something going on with customers as a whole, the contact center will now be the first to learn about it, and they will be able to bring this information back to management. We'll be able to tell our customers are now talking about a new campaign which our competitor has come out with. This could not be achieved up until now. Number two, if there is a specific agent which has problems or has challenges, as they like to say in the nice American term, because no one has problems, if someone has a challenge, we'll be able to focus with him on that specific challenge. So if I deal pretty bad with customers with customer service, and I've got an issue with it, and my colleagues are doing pretty well, there is no reason for my boss to evaluate their calls rather than evaluating mine, because I'm the one with a problem. He should be focusing his time on getting me to be better. And that's exactly what will be happening. Quality managers will now be focusing their time on the people who actually need their improvement, people who need their guidance. And that is pretty amazing, because now that will actually make the entire level of a contact center higher. Number three, and this is usually the one which I like best, suddenly the contact center supervisors, the entire quality team feels empowered. They feel part of the business, because now they can see and actually feel how their day-to-day job affects the effectivity of the contact center. They come with insights to their operations. They do better for operational efficiency. They do better for customer experience. So if someone spent now 30 minutes on the call, they'll want to understand why. They'll want to understand what he did well here, what he didn't do well here, and make sure that they are able to preserve the goodwill and the way the service is given, but make sure that the next time the operational efficiency won't be hurt. Maybe show them how to do it a bit better next time, so be able to spend enough time, but without taking too long. So essentially, this is how interaction analytics is coming. Now, interaction analytics has been around already for some time. It's roughly gone around approximately, this is really an approximate because it depends who you are and where you are, approximately 20% of contact centers which deal with recording and with quality management have already installed it, and they are seeing major benefits. So how does the whole thing actually work? So let's look at it. Essentially, you're able today to analyze every single type of interaction, whether it's phone, words, emotions, chat, literally every kind of structured data and unstructured, such as voice conversations, can be actually analyzed. What is done is at the first we can, most technologies are able to show hot topics, kind of stuff, what is being mentioned in the conversation. This is about any preliminary knowledge. Simply search for a sample of calls and say, okay, this is roughly what is being said. That then enables the organization to look at the calls and say, okay, we want to focus on these kinds of calls, for instance, all the ones which said Google or all the ones which said YouTube. Then search for those calls, search inside of all calls, look for trends, identify problems based on them. Once again, we talked about voice, but there's also emotion, which can be searched by, sentiment, customers which talk over at the same time. So, for instance, in most places, unless you're in the Middle East, when you have a customer talking over an agent, or the other way around, that usually indicates poor service. High emotion, exactly the same thing. You can look at these trends, identify the problems, and then alert the relevant quality manager. He can then understand why it actually happened. He can take the action by evaluating him, guiding him, and coaching him. And this is a stream process, because once you guide him and understand what actually needs to be done over here, the next time you can analyze it right so again. This is the ongoing monitoring. So it's an ongoing process of improvement, and that is essentially how it works. Just one more word about it. So there are already technologies out there which are being implemented which allow for real-time speech analytics to get inside, meaning you can actually see, hear, and understand what the customers are being said in real time. and based upon that, provide agents with real-time guidance on their desktop. So if suddenly a customer mentions a new campaign or he mentions that he wants to leave, as the call is going on, a real-time guidance will appear, a kind of an icon will appear, or the bubble will appear on the agent screen guiding him what to do in this case. So it's getting to a very, very high level of sophistication. And that's actually all I wanted to share about that.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Before we go into our next presentation, just want to bring up another little poll. We're going to be talking in a while from Lynn Gillan from BNY Mellon about their customer journey. They've also used speech analytics as part of that. Just like to pop up a poll to ask if you currently use speech analytics or call center analytics, as it's more widely used. So the answers are: we're experienced users, we've recently deployed it, we're looking to implement it shortly, it's in the pipeline, or we have no plans. So I'd just like to vote on that now, and we've got most of the votes in there now. So I'm just going to share the results up on the screen, and we have well, 59% of the audience have got no plans for that. So, Linda, I guess that's they'll be quite interested in hearing. 20% are in the pipeline for analytics. So, if we then pass across to you, Lynn, and if you'd like to take us through your journey or your approach to looking at the customer journey, then that would be very good. So, if you'd like to put your slides up on the screen.
Lovely. Thanks, Jonty. Okay.
There we go.
Hope everybody can see the slides.
We can indeed.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm going to share a little about our journey in using voice analytics. But firstly, for those who are possibly not familiar with BNY Mellon, we're an asset management and asset servicing company with the purpose of powering global investments to help our clients succeed. And within the division that I work within, which is our asset service and transfer agency function, we effectively provide outsourced, white-labeled administration services for a range of wealth and fund management organizations. So our client service center, which is a multi-channeled contact center, offers contact center services for a number of wealth and fund management companies, and effectively their investors are our customers, whether that be large institutions, financial advisors, or retail customers. Our journey in using analytics is focused on improving the client experience for a number of different stakeholders, which include our clients and their customers, but also our internal customers. Our overall aim is to help our clients succeed by connecting the dots and delivering excellence, really to aid loyalty, retention, and growth for our clients. To achieve that aim, we wanted much greater insight into why customers contacted us, what they were saying, and what mattered to them most to help us create better solutions and continually improve our service. We have a variety of survey tools that allow us to ask questions about service, but what we really wanted was unprompted insight that really didn't rely on asking customers specific questions through a survey tool, or indeed rely on an agent completing root cause categorizations for an interaction. We believed that interaction analytics tool would allow us to gain that insight and give us a much greater and deeper understanding. We've now been using interaction analytics for just over a year, and we're really starting to see some tangible results. The tool has allowed us to better manage the unexpected. So when an unplanned event occurs that leads to an unforecast spike in customer contact, we're really able to quickly understand what's happened, And yes, we were able to do that anecdotally in the past, and we could maybe add a flag to track the volume from an unplanned spike. But now we can set up a category in analytics, drill down into the causes, brief our teams with far more detail, which allows them to better manage the customer expectation.
And Lynn, what sort of things have you found that have driven those unexpected spikes?
Well, it can be a whole variety of things. Our client base is quite diverse, so it can be a press comment, or it can actually even be a weather event. There are many things that can drive that we may not have prior knowledge of. And so our reaction to that situation has improved much, much more with analytics. And on the back end,
I guess you may have a clue that the weather's not very good, but certainly a press comment. You're going along with blissful ignorance until all of a sudden, why all the calls coming in?
Yeah, and the back end of that is actually allowing us to forecast much more effectively as well, because what we can do is take the intel that we get from analytics, which tells us how much that event has generated in customer interaction, and we can then use that to plug into forecasting in future. So if a similar event happens, we have a far better idea of the impact and what we may need to do to deal with that. So that's really been the first key thing that we're definitely reaping benefits on. The next aspect that for me is really key to delivering a really good service, and that's been around analytics being a driver to raising the bar in terms of the service we deliver. So it's allowed us to abandon random quality assurance sampling and move to a more targeted and efficient approach. We can now focus on specific topics and trends, both at a client service center level and also for individuals. And it ties back to what David mentioned in terms of we're able to see where an individual might deviate from their peer group. We can then drill into that in more depth and then really create the right types of coaching interventions or training interventions to improve their delivery far more quickly. And at a client service center level, we've really overhauled a lot of our training programs as a result of some of the intel that we've got from analytics. It allows us to really tailor the content to where the need is, rather than a trainer starting with a blank piece of paper and creating a training package. And again, that's allowed us to very quickly make a difference and impact to the service we're delivering. And for me, though, by far the most exciting aspect has been the momentum that's been generated to continue in this kind of never-ending process of improvement. Where we used to be able to get MI based on agent input or anecdote, and we used that information to try and improve processes and procedures, using analytics and being able to get quick and detailed insights allows us to provide more quantifiable data to drive process and service improvements. So where we might have known about a trend around a change of address process, and we knew anecdotally that we were getting calls every day about that, we're now able to say we're getting X number of calls. We can then take that and use that to influence and prioritize that process change. We have had a lot of successes from that already, and one of the added benefits is that once we make a change, we can actually measure the customer impact of that change in terms of the number of interactions and what customers are saying. So for us, voice analytics has led to a number of quite fundamental changes in process that have helped enhance the client experience, and it gives you that impetus to continually evolve and change on that journey. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Lynn. And just put up the next session. We're going into it's your turn to provide top tips to improve the customer experience. So if you'd like to use #tip at the start of a tip, you can put those either into the chat room or into the question box. But Lynn, just one question that's come through from Linda. What is meant by continuous process improvement?
For us, it's about listening to what customers are saying, and if we have a process in place, so for instance, if someone wants to change a piece of information that's quite security sensitive, we might ask them to do that in writing. But if customers are saying to us through listening to voice analytics, that really doesn't work for us, it gives us some quantifiable data to go and find a different solution. So it's not necessarily about broken processes even, it's actually about saying what processes don't work for the customer and can we change and enhance that.
Yeah. And is continuous process improvement, is this a sort of brand name of a company that do a particular service, or is it a more general concept linked to, say, Six Sigma or something like that?
It's more a general concept for us. It's about never standing still and constantly looking to make the service we provide even better. Wonderful,
wonderful. Well, we're going to go now to top tips from the audience. We've got a bottle of champagne. We've probably got about 10 tips in already, so I think the chances of winning that bottle of champagne could be quite good. So if you'd like to type #tip at the start of the tip. Leslie says, I manage technical support department where advisors don't have any KPI measures. I focus on managing behaviors, driving engagement and delivery of our core values. Anne-Marie Stagg, I guess that's very close to your heart in terms of not measuring average handling time.
Yeah, it's an absolutely joy to see, actually. I think you should just give her the bottle of champagne right now.
Well, I will be asking you to pick the winner, but let's see what else we've got in the process before that. Scott has said, we've now led our clients away from transactional and scripted customer service. We're seeing great results on developing agents' EQ skills. EQ is emotional quotient rather than the IQ, which is intelligence quotient. It helps them in a short term to build early trust and rapport, stop weak words and phrases, and ask powerful questions to get the full picture. It's especially useful for angry customers or passive customers too. It also helps agents deal with colleagues effectively. Lynn, I guess with your sorts of background you've got there, looking at sort of key words is presumably quite an important factor of what you do.
Yeah, one of the things we have focused on over the last year is it touches on EQ, but it's really looking about changing language and focusing on positive language. And again, that's tied to analytics, and we've created categories within analytics to try and monitor how we're progressing around that.
Yeah, quite fascinating. Some of the weak words and phrases, and the best ways of doing that. So let's go and have a look, see what else we've got. So Hannah has said, rewarding advisors with time off the phones gives a negative impression of the day-to-day work they do. Reward with individual projects which may or may not require calls. This aids the advisor development, empowers them, and gives them further knowledge of the business. Now, David, self-empowerment for agents is quite a key thing, and I guess with the latest quality tools, it's more easily to allow agents to see sort of their own progress.
Yeah, definitely. So if I get the call, Hannah should definitely get the bottle of champagne. There's no doubt about it here. There's actually, I don't even state myself here, if you guys like watching TED presentations, there's a very, very interesting one which with what motivates us. And they found out there that actually giving money rewards actually lowers the productivity and lowers the motivations of teams. And the key factor which does motivate people is them being empowered and a feeling of self-fulfillment. And this is exactly where it comes in. The moment an agent feels that, or a supervisor feels that he can actually make a change, he can actually do something which is meaningful to him, then that is a great source for him. So definitely so, agree.
Yeah, there's a comment on the chat room. The biggest reward is recognition. Scott has put in a tip. Incentives do not simply focus on pure KPIs. There must be a quality element in there, as well as the incentives that should have a rolling element to drive consistency. Certainly think that's very important. And Danny has said, always share the outputs from any customer satisfactions with every member of the staff in the business. And certainly there were some comments in on the chat room about a number of people who were using net promoter scores and feeding those back to agents. Anne-Marie, that's quite a key thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And if there are comments that are coming back from customers, good or bad, then everybody should see those. I mean, you walk into some operations and you'll find a wall which is full of customer comments, and as long as that is updated regularly, that's a really good opportunity to share feedback with advisors in terms of what customers think about what they're doing, and it's a great opportunity to recognise advisors as well for their contribution.
Yeah, and I think timeliness is one of the key ones, because all too often you get some feedback and you think, well, that was great, now I can't remember which one that was about, whereas if it's
that's really frustrating, isn't it?
Within say 15 minutes, you can really then think, oh, right, that was good or that was bad. Yeah, quite fascinating. Brian, at least once a day via inter-office IM, I guess that's instant messenger, we ask the call center agents if they're noticing any trends in the calls they're receiving. This allows us to address any issue and inform the floor of tools or solutions to those calls. I guess, David, that's a very good workaround if you haven't got any technology. Does real-time analytics give that to you in a real-time picture?
This is this is many times asked if there are any trends in calls. Look, if you have agents which deal in a specific type of call, then yes, this would actually work. But many times what we see is we've got agents addressing all different types of calls. Therefore, their ability to understand a trend is, is still not the best of ways. This can be done, but let's say it's like asking someone who's going, who's taking only his call to see if he notices anything, but he may only be taking something specific. A far better way for this would be analyzing 100% of the calls to getting the real-time picture.
Great. Well, let's have a quick look through through a lot of the other tips. Nerith, have a clear idea on what your plan is to manage customers who are not happy, and how you can assure the agents that the process is being managed to avoid them having to deal with the same issues coming up time and time again. Jay says, listen to your customers. Guy says, have clear benchmarks of your current standards by agent, by team, by organization as a whole before embarking on any project, and use this as a reference to measure the success of any initiatives. Lynn, that sounds quite an interesting tip.
Yeah, it does indeed. And certainly it's something we've looked at as part of the journey we're on just now. I would say, though, that for us, the benchmarks that we had have evolved and changed because of the tools we now have to support us. So it is continuously changing.
Okay, well, let's have a jump through to a couple of questions that have come through. Richard asked some time ago, how would the panel advise managers to bridge the gap between marketing, brand, and customer experience? I'm certainly seeing instances now where marketing and customer service departments are merging. Anne-Marie, any tips, any advice on how to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I guess disappointing that there is a gap, but Yeah, absolutely. Get the marketing team into the contact centre, put some headsets on and get them to listen into the calls and talk to the advisors, do some roundtables. But perception and reality, I guess it's kind of bringing the two together really. But the practical thing is get the guys back to the shop floor, or if you've got analytics information, then take the opportunity to share that information with them.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful. Also, job shares can work quite nicely as well, which I guess that's an element of cycle people around spending a week in another department. Very great way of also building personal connections between people. And Hannah says, is there a reason the skills and knowledge are not passed to your team? I often find that people who know the jobs and contracts are often the best advisors. So I guess to some extent Hannah's answered the question there. Lynn, any thoughts on that?
I mean, from my perspective, within our organisation, we try and encourage people to move around departments and throughout different operational areas and then back into the contact centre, and that helps our people really build up a really sound understanding of all our processes. But certainly, I wouldn't want there to be a barrier between people finding out how everything works best.
Well, let's take a couple more tips. Carol says, have a model office team where you try out new processes and measure the benefits of your customer experience. That sounds a very interesting one. Carol, I don't know if you've got any experience of setting that up you'd like to share, but I think that's a very novel idea there. Gillan says, my agents fight over every interaction with a customer. It's an opportunity to provide excellent customer service. They're trained to be aggressively friendly. They're rewarded for their efforts in providing first contact resolution every time. I've got no idea quite how you get people to fight over an interaction.
I love aggressively friendly. I don't think I've come across that term before. That sounds like.
Well, how do they fight? I mean, does one jump over the phone? No, I'm taking it. How's that actually happen?
I'd be Jolene, if you can give an examples of how you get people to be aggressively friendly. Of examples, I'd love to hear on that one. Hannah says we monitor both on individual performance. However, all KPIs are group-based, and therefore the advisors join together to share the service, the work and the responsibility of breaking down the workload. I think I'm certainly a great believer of team targets rather than individual targets, because I believe it does drive some of the best behaviours. And we've got time for one more tip. We aim to get it right first time, every time. It doesn't always work, but when it doesn't, we take that as an opportunity to develop ourselves so that we get it right from that point onwards. We always keep the customer up to date so they don't become frustrated by knowing what's going on in the background. And I think that's also a super suggestion. So I'm afraid that's all we've got time for